Hey guys, it's Supa here. So today will be somewhat of a different video and I kind of want to talk about the free-to-play experience and kind of extend on a video I saw. So this video is uploaded by Invu and he uploaded this yesterday, and if you don't know who Invu is, of course I highly recommend that you check him out. He's an amazing content creator. But anyway, this video, the general gist of it was that F2P players in particular shouldn't just be saving for limited time heroes, and in fact they should consider using their miracle wishes on regular, legendary, non-limited time heroes. So I don't want to go through all the specifics of this video because I think it's really worth the watch and you should do so. But generally the rationale behind this is because the recent non-limited time legendary heroes have all been very strong. So for example, we have heroes like Kalana, and more recently we have Jubei, both of which seem to be extremely strong characters. And characters like Kalana specifically really do seem to rival the level of limited time heroes in terms of strength. And another benefit about legendary heroes which are not limited is you only need one copy and you can get the remaining exclusives using legendary eyes. And another pain point he mentioned for free-to-play players is that it can be very difficult for you to save up the required miracle wishes in order to be able to get limited time heroes at exclusive tree. So in the worst case scenario, you do need 1,800 miracle wishes, which is a lot to save up for. And when you do save up for these miracle wishes, it means that you have to forego a lot of new legendary heroes. So I did comment my response to his video in his video itself. So if you do want to see my thoughts on that, I recommend you check out his video first and then see what I said in the comments. But regardless of how you feel about this, I just want to emphasize that, of course, this is all just friendly discussion about the video. And of course, I mean, we're all really passionate about this game. When that happens and we sometimes may have conflicting opinions, we may, butt heads and some people may not be happy. But at the end of the day, we all enjoy this game. We are talking about this because we want to see the game improve. If you disagree with Invu, do not attack him. Just be constructive, of course. That's the whole point of this video and this discussion. Anyway, what I want to cover for this video is somewhat of an extension of what he's covered. And I just want to talk about the free-to-play experience and whether it's viable, how far can you get as a free-to-play player, and so on. So just to preface, if you've watched my videos before, you know that this account that I have is not a free-to-play account by any means, especially for my server. You can see I have several limited time heroes at exclusive tree. I have a unicorn pet which is maxed out. Obviously, this is not a free-to-play account. However, before I did start this account, which is on server 128, I have played this game before for a decent period, a few months, as a free-to-play player. And this account as well was a free-to-play account for the first month or two of playing the game. So I don't want to pretend that I'm a free-to-play player until now. And obviously, as seeing my account once again, you can see that I'm not. And me pretending to be will discredit those players who are free-to-play. That being said, I do think that I have had experience, especially in the earlier stages of the game, regarding what it's like to be a free-to-play player. And that's what I'm going to use as a basis of what the free-to-play experience is like. So I think the main thing that we need to first consider is the three different ways this game differentiates players. So the first method is through the server, and this is just simply the server you started on. So for my account, this is server 128, but what you can see is that the latest server, I believe you can see, is 157. And every week we do get a new server. The second way they determine your account and who you're competing against is division. So division, you can see here, is based on how old your server is, and you can see the different time frames here. And the last part, which most people don't know, or people who do not use the Discord that often don't know, is zones. So zones is another metric that they use to determine the people you fight with and go against. And the way to see your zone is in the Discord in this zone merge channel. So you can see over here, they update the zones every few months. So you can see we had an update on March, and recently, earlier this month in June, they had a second update. And you can see that the zones have different servers. So For the first few servers, your zone will just be your server itself, but in the older servers, you will have a bunch of other servers competing in your zone. So for instance, for me, in server 128, I am in zone 10, and what that means is that I'll be competing with people in servers 128 to 136. So what exactly are we competing with based on zone? Well, that will be your classic arena and advanced arena. So the people you are fighting against is based on who is in your zone. And for your events as well, the people who you are competing against in events also depends on your zone. Then division is for other areas of content like 7 Sages of Luli. So if we take a look over here, the people you're competing with is based on division. And similarly in championship, it's based on division as well. As for your server itself, especially once your server gets old, how does server matter? Honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. I don't really think there's many areas, if any at all, where individual server actually matters. So this is a lot of rambling, but how is the free-to-play experience like, which is the purpose of this video. So as a free-to-play player, I believe that you can have a strong start and do very well at the early stages of the game. And the reality is, as your server gets older and when your zone is no longer just your individual server, but you are matched with other people, and also when you get put into the later divisions, the reality is, as with any game of this type, it becomes harder and harder to compete as a free-to-play player. So what does that mean? Does it mean that being a free-to-play player is hopeless? Should you give up the game if you're a free-to-play player? Well, obviously I don't think so, but you do need to set your expectations. So let's start at the experience as a free-to-play player on a new server. So every time there's a new server, of course there are going to be people who spend at different levels. So there may be actually a decent amount of people who are light spenders, and by light spenders I would say people who only buy the monthly card. And there will of course be the more heavy spenders, which I classify personally as people who are willing to spend, $100 just for one limited time hero. It could be an exclusive 0 Giselle, or maybe they spend even more and get an exclusive 2 Marie. Regardless, $100 to me is a heavy spender, and just one exclusive 0 Giselle is enough to completely dominate the early stages of the game, both in PvE and PvP. That being said, it isn't very often for there to be many heavy spenders within one server. And in fact, if we take a look at just seeing the history of the game, some of the up-and-coming newer players in the newer servers, usually most of the time, in terms of heavy spenders, there's sometimes not even one per server. Sometimes only every 3 servers we'll see one really heavy spender, one Kraken, which has a really strong account, spending several hundreds of dollars, and someone who's very obviously going to dominate the competition at their level. So as a new player, most free-to-play players especially, they tend to reroll for a strong character. Oftentimes this is Lance. I've shared my thoughts about rerolling in separate videos, but let's say you are a player who rerolls for a character like Lance, who's obviously very strong in PvP and PvE. Chances are, and in fact this is based on experience, within your server in the early stages of the game, you should be very easily able to compete and place within top 10 of your server in PvP content. Of course, this may not always be the case. Sometimes some servers have more players who spend and some servers have less, but in general I think this is very achievable. And what is more important is that you know how to build your characters and use your resources well. I've seen players who've rerolled for Lance and then they don't build him well at all. They build Lance with crit rate and crit damage because they don't realize that crit rate and crit damage only applies to direct damage dealers. And when they do that, it's kind of a complete waste of the good characters they have. So in the early stages of the game, I genuinely think that being a free-to-play is perfectly fine, especially if you know what you're doing. Of course, this will start to become worse as we increase in division. The first notable increase you will have is when you enter trial division, and then you will start facing players. When you first enter trial division, you'll start facing players who have 2 months worth of progress more than you, regardless if they are spender or not. So when this happens, obviously, you are gonna fight much stiffer competition when it comes to events such as 7 Sages of Luli, and when that happens, chances are you're gonna fall behind in ranking quite heavily. Of course, the game has some countermeasures that they put. For instance, every time you increase division in 7 stages of Luli, the rewards you get daily also increase quite significantly, in fact. So there are some systems in place to try and help counteract these increases in divisions. And let's talk about later into the game, so maybe at the stage I'm at and where free-to-play players lie. So you've already heard me mention that in Trial Division, the first division, a free-to-play player could very feasibly place top 10 in PvP. And if you take a look in Classic Arena now, a player who is, even players who cannot make it to top 10 are spenders as well. So you can see, for example, we have this player in 13th, and he is a really stacked, pay-to-win team. We can go further down, we can go maybe over here, this missile, and you can see another pay-to-win team. Definitely, this is kind of just because he doesn't have Marie. If he had Marie, he will be much higher up. But maybe you can find a player like, let's see if we take a look. This player has Marie, E3 Marie, and he's only 23rd. So of course, this can be very demotivating as a free-to-play player. So maybe we can look for a free-to-play player, and in fact, I do know that this player from my guild, Ipis, I do believe he is a free-to-play player. He just has chosen to save up his wishes very strategically and has gotten these 2 limited time heroes at exclusive 3. But you can see without even without a Marie, without Murongjing, without Giselle, he is doing decently well, placing 22nd. So maybe he is on the higher end in terms of free-to-play players. Maybe he got lucky with his legendary summons. But regardless, we can go scroll further down, and this is definitely or almost completely a free-to-play team because they gave a copy of Giselle for free. We can look here. He only has 1 exclusive 3 Kalana. And just because you have a limited time hero doesn't mean they're a spender. They could have chosen to save their heroes. But you're seeing within this 20th to 30th range, we are starting to see some free-to-play players come into the mix. And maybe in the past, when you were in Trial Division, when you were top 10, you could easily get King tier in Arena. And right now, these guys, maybe they'll max out at Diamond 2, as you can see, or maybe Diamond 1. And like I said, that's just the unfortunate reality of these kind of games. Without spending money, you will not be able to compete at the very top levels. And as disappointing as that may be, I do feel that you kind of need to set your expectations if you're a free-to-play player. I know this may be bad to hear, but it is just the unfortunate reality. These games do need to make money. And I mean, being Diamond 2 in these later divisions and later servers is not bad by any means. It's just the way you see it, For me, obviously, I have a strong team. I have the luxury of getting the vouchers by being a content creator, so I am able to consistently hit King tier. But as a free-to-play player, like I did in my older account, which was completely free-to-play, you should just expect that over time you will slightly go down in ranking. And perhaps as a free-to-play player, you should put a larger focus in PvE content, of course, where you're focusing on basically competing against yourself and slowly increasing your strength over time. As a free-to-play player, no one's forcing you to be at some really high stage in planar rifts. You could be, for all you could be at stage 100, and the challenge you give yourself is just to hit stage 125 by the end of the month. So in terms of PvE, it's all really about setting goals for yourself as a free-to-play player or even as a pay-to-win player. But when it comes to PvP, when we're in the middle stages, or rather when your account is in the middle stages in terms of age, I wouldn't say my account is old yet. I'm not even in the latest division, the last division. But over time, when it comes to PvP, you must expect that you will slowly fall out of the rankings. You will not be completely obsolete, as I've already shown. 20th is still very impressive. It should be something you're proud of, especially if you're a free-to-play player. But over time, if you don't spend money, especially compared to the other people in your server, then you will eventually go down. And I think that's perfectly fine. And let's talk about when your account becomes really old. So there are not many, but there are a handful of older players, maybe server 1 or even like the first 40, first 60 servers who are free to play and still playing now. And what's their account strength at? So sometimes, I see these guys in World Chat. I don't think I can find an example here, but sometimes I see them once in a while. I see them in Discord and so on. And these are players, who've played for a long time. They, as a free-to-play, have gotten every single Elemental City hero at max exclusives. They've gotten every single Mythic hero at max exclusives. And some of them, you know, like I said, they're never going to be able to compete with those heavy spenders in the old servers, but they're doing just fine. And I think this is because they've come to the realization that the older your account is, the less you should be focused on PvP content, or at least going for the top rankings. And I think the perfect thing for this, as I'm sure some of you might know, is comparison is the thief of joy. So, you know, if you're going to compare yourself with a spender, obviously you're going to feel bad about your account, that you don't have this exclusive, you don't have this gem, you don't have this echo. But in my opinion, so what? At the end of the day, we're just here to play a game. If you don't have fun with the game, whether you're a spender or non-spender, I mean, it may be bad to say it, but then you shouldn't. If the game doesn't give you joy, don't play it. You should only be doing things, you know, which make you happy, especially when it comes to entertainment like games like this. And if you're, you know, there are some players who don't follow any of the rules when it comes to playing these kind of games. They don't save their gems, they don't save their miracles, they summon on the worst banners possible. I've met some of these people, and most of them, sure, they're not following any of the rules which that most normal players would recommend, but they're having fun doing it, and who am I to judge? If you're finding fun however you play this game, even if you're the bottom ranked player in the world, if you're having fun, so be it. I'm not here to judge. Play the way that you find fun, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So I know this was just, you know, I guess somewhat of a ramble, but I do feel that being a free-to-play in this game still is very, very good. The devs are, when you may say what you want about the devs, but having a channel to be able to talk to them directly, I can tell you guys, these devs really listen to the community. They are really passionate. They really want to make the game better. And sometimes it may be difficult to see that, I understand. But yeah, as a free-to-play player, I think, like I said, it's still a good game to get into. Just set your expectations, find the way that you have fun, and play that way accordingly. And I mean, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. That's the nature of these kind of games. At the end of the day, if you're having fun, just keep doing that. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys next time.